Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here at Trump Reads, and in this video, I want to go over my TBR for a read-along that I want to participate in. And yes, you read the title right, it is a sci-fi read-along, and I actually plan on reading sci-fi books this time rather than just kind of science books, for like space and everything. So actual, real legit sci-fi. You'll see why in just a second. But the read-along is the Spring into Sci-Fi read-along, and it's hosted by Maggie at Book Me Up, Scotty. I'll leave her link down below. You should definitely go check out and subscribe to her channel. But yeah, it takes place during this week, March 1 through 7. And I realize this is March 2nd. Hopefully, if I can actually get it up, film, edit, and upload it all in one day, which will be a miracle in of itself. But I just found out about it like at 11 o'clock or something last night. So I'm already like a day behind, so I might tack an extra day on, but I might not, and you'll see why. But let's just go over some of the prompts here. We have read a story with a mechanical character, whether that's like cyborg, or like robot, artificial intelligence, stuff like that. Read a story set in the future or the parallel present. Read a story set in an alternative reality, like virtual reality or a parallel universe, something like that. Read a story set in space, and read for an hour a day. So let me just tell you why I'm actually going to participate in this one, even though I don't really read sci-fi. I think technically the only official legit sci-fi that I read, and even that's not really sci-fi, it's like Robert E. Howard's like one random kind of pulp science fiction book, which was really just a fantasy book that happened to be like on another planet, like after the first like page. But everything else that I've read that I've considered kind of sci-fi was really just science fantasy. I guess this kind of is in a way, but I'm going to be reading some of the Horus Heresy books from the Warhammer universe, and this would be part of the Warhammer 40k lore. Though the Horus Heresy is actually sort of a galactic civil war taking place in the 30th millennium. So it's really like Warhammer 30k, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm kind of starting to fall down this giant like Warhammer, or at least Horus Heresy, sort of rabbit hole like on YouTube, and just like reading some of the books and stuff. I picked up Garrow, which is like book number 42 or something, and I think it's like slated to be like a 60-ish book like series. And like I said, this whole thing is just like a prequel to the whole like Warhammer 40k universe and all that. But basically, I think I picked up Garrow for like $4 at some like random sale. It wasn't even a bookstore; it was just like a store that happened to have some books on sale, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll try it. And I really liked it, and then I bought a bunch of books on like a bunch of like just a used lot of a bunch of Horus Heresy books. So yeah, I will say I did finish Horus Rising here, by Dan Abnett, the first book in the Horus Heresy series. Technically finished this on March 1st, so I'm gonna kind of count it, even though I didn't even know the readathon was like existing. But I'll count that as sort of my first book on my TBR, even though it's like already finished. But anyways, I want to also read Graham McNeil's False Gods, The Heresy Takes Root, which is the second book in the series. And from what I guess like found out after the first 3 books or so, you can kind of read most of them kind of in any order that you want to, because they're all kind of either individual stories or their own little arcs and stuff. So like I was saying, a lot of the books are kind of their own standalones taking place in the sort of Civil War at some point. And you don't technically have to like read them in order or anything. Like I said, I read Garrow as my first one, which is like the 42nd book. Though, like I said, it's probably good to read some of the early ones just because there are a lot of events that were kind of referenced that I realized were kind of a big deal. I read like a little bit in the Horus Heresy in the first, and presumably in the next like 2 or 3 books. And sometimes there are like some story arcs between like a couple of the books, things like that. But overall, you can kind of pick and choose just like what sounds cool and what you like. So like I was saying, I want to read False Gods by Graham McNeil, the second book in the series, to give you a lot of kind of sort of the context for the Horus Heresy coming back. And also the third book that I want to read for this read along during this week is the 9th book in the Horus Heresy series, which is Mechanicum, and the subtitle is Knowledge is Power, which is really cool. And just like look at that cover image, like that. I think that's like a techno priest or techno priest. Oh, that'd be kind of funny too. But yeah, anyways, that guy looks swag as F basically, and I just thought this one would be perfect for this, right along with some of the kind of prompts that were going on. For example, the first one: read a story with a mechanical character. Basically, that's the people on essentially what Mars is, are like robotic human cyborg things. I think just looking at the sky, they're known as the Adeptus Mechanicus, and essentially they're kind of like the Empires, like kind of like master engineers and stuff. But what's cool is this book basically deals with obviously the whole Horus Heresy thing is sort of a galactic civil war between the Imperium of mankind fighting against each other, the different legions and stuff. And this one is actually like a civil war on Mars between the Adeptus Mechanicum, and basically what side they're going to actually end up fighting for or helping out and stuff, basically with their technology and stuff. So I thought that's kind of like it's like a civil war within a civil war, which is kind of like an interesting concept. And like I said, obviously these are like uber mechanical people. I mean, they're humans, but they're like basically augmented to the point where they're like, I don't know even know what you call it. They're the Adeptus Mechanicum. We'll just say that. And read a story set in the future. Well, all these books are set in like the 30th millennium, or so it's like Warhammer 30K, so 30,000 or 28,000 years in the future, I guess. So it's definitely in the future. Read a story set in space. That one's pretty much taken care of. For example, like maybe Mechanicum might be primarily set on Mars, but the other books definitely have like space travel and stuff, and you're kind of like on spaceships like half the time anyway. So that one's definitely covered. Read a story set in an alternative reality. That's like the only one that's kind of like not really covered, I guess. I would say if you count like virtual reality and all that stuff, I would say augmented reality, because the Legiones Astartes, which essentially are like the Space Marines from that people kind of like think about when they think of like Warhammer 40K and stuff. Essentially, they're like super enhanced superhumans. Essentially because of like different implants and augments like in their bodies and organs, and like the armor they wear and all that stuff. So it's kind of like an augmented reality kind of thing going on as well. And I definitely plan on a reading for an hour a day during these 7 days, whether that's between I'm going to probably listen to Mechanicum, because that's one that I don't have right now. I think I have like, not really 1 through 10, but I have 10 books, but it's kind of like 1 through 15, and there's a couple gaps. Mechanicum is one of the gaps. Though I have it in the mail, but I'll probably actually end up listening to that one in audiobook format so I can get some extra kind of like listening time in. But anyways, like I said, I thought this was a really cool read along idea. And it's basically a really good excuse for me to start reading, not getting rid of, but going through a bunch of these Horus Heresy books, because, like I said, I think there's like 50 something out, and there's planned to be like a few more to finish up the series, so I'm guessing around 60 or so, and I am pretty bad at finishing series, so I basically need to do all I can to start going through them. They're just kind of a lot of fun for me, something I definitely don't read. Like I said, I don't read any sci-fi at all, but I don't know. I just really enjoyed the first one I read, and it's kind of just like a guilty pleasure of mine, but definitely not ashamed of that. So, anyways, if you guys like sci-fi, definitely go check this read along out. If you are participating, leave a comment down below so I can see what you guys are reading as well. And always remember, whatever you end up reading, read victoriously.